Hey, what's going on? It's your girl, Pretty Sexy Jar of the Brand, aka Sonic Assassin. And of course, you guys, we are back for another review of Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 16, Episode 2, Hot Dogs and Hot Mics. And baby, as you already know, this is our second review for Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I'm so excited to get into this second episode. Oh my gosh, you guys. Thank y'all for showing up, showing love like y'all always do. Thank y'all for liking, commenting, and subscribing to the channel. Um, Also, what it do, Assassin family? How y'all doing? Um, and yes, so y'all let's tap in, tune in, and get into this review. And y'all make sure y'all share, tell a friend, and let's keep building the assassin family, okay? Yes. What's going on, you guys? Let's go ahead and get into season 16, episode 2 of Real Housewives of Atlanta, Hot Dogs and Hot Mics. And of course, you guys, we are picking up at Shamia's party where she had already taken the ladies upstairs to a private room. And of course, we jump right into it where Shamia was asking Drew, like, what was her relationship with Portia's baby father, because she had been hearing around town, they had been going out in the matching outfits and dressing up. And of course, our girl Drew defends herself and she says, it's not that serious. It's just a work relationship. She says, her and Dennis had talked. She's had conversations. Her ex-husband and Portia's child's father have had conversation. And baby, it is getting to be very, very a lot and heated, and everybody has like their thoughts and opinions. And of course, we get to see the ladies share their thoughts and opinions about how they're feeling about this situation. And it's crazy because Drew is honestly telling everybody, like, look here, it's just a work relationship. It's not nothing, malice or ill intended. It's just seriously a work relationship. Like, he reached out to her management team because she was on the road for Tamar. She opened up for Tamar Braxton. And baby, it's a lot going on. And we see all of the ladies giving their commentary and chiming in. But then, you know, we get our girl Portia. She gets to opening up, and then her and Drew start to have like this back and forth and this conversation. And they're sharing about how this relationship came about and how there was not permission asked and all these things. And then it gets so heated that our girl Kale says, "Oh my gosh, you not." Gonna answer this lady, like, you need to tell this lady, is you just dating her man or not, before she come over here and get on the couch with us. I was like, girl, she is not coming over here and get on the couch with y'all. But I do like the fact that you was like, come on, Drew, tell the truth about what's going on. But I feel like Drew was honestly giving her real thoughts and opinions. Like, look here, it's just what it is. It's a work relationship. She's like, I've reached out to you, I've tried to contact you. He says he's spoken with you. And then our girl Portia asks the producers, can she break the fourth wall? And if you're not familiar with the fourth wall, the fourth wall is when you talk to the production and the camera crew people, like, they are now involved in the scene. It is no longer just the girls having a conversation, like, the people behind the scenes are also involved in this conversation. And Portia shares that she's upset with Drew because Drew tried to go behind her back and she tried to film something on the show for Portia's hairline, which is Go Naked Hair, and about her working with Dennis and trying to get him to come film on the show with her. And she says, that is just low down and trifling. And Drew's very taken back because guess what? Drew's like, I didn't think it was that deep of an issue or that serious for us to get to here or that point. But you never know, especially in this environment. But I do feel like, Portia, this does kind of seem like very kind. I don't know. I'm just not getting like you really upset with Drew. Maybe you are, but it's I'm not feeling it. But maybe you are. And Drew is taken back in confusion. You can honestly see the confusion on Drew's face, like, wait, girl, what's going on here? I'm not really understanding. But y'all, after that all happened and the ladies still have their back and forth, Shamia breaks these up and we go back down to the party. We see Shamia's cake, and not only do we see Shamia's cake, but baby, we see them finna get ready to jump in the pool and have themselves a good old time, a good old ball. Do you hear me? And baby, we see everybody in all white go running and jumping into the water, and it gives a big old splash. And baby, that is how you have a birthday celebration. Come on, come on, come on. Eat. And then, y'all, as we get into our next scene, it is our girl, Miss Angela, and we are at Miss Angela's beautiful home, and she's walking down to her kitchen, and, you know, of course, her husband is prepping and making food, and baby, you know, her daughter is downstairs, and her daughter's 24, and her daughter very much so looks just like her mom, very beautiful, smooth skin, just everything, okay? I see how Miss Angela bagged her husband, baby, okay? But yes, while they're in the kitchen, you know, we get to know a little bit more about Miss Angela and about, you know, what she has going on and what she's doing in the city of Atlanta. And baby, you know, like I said, her man is prepping food and getting it prepared. And, you know, they have like a nice little back and forth. And her husband takes the food outside, and while she's in the house, her and her daughter, you know, are talking, having a conversation. And of course, she's telling her daughter about the party and about, you know, about the girls and about the situation that's going on with Drew working with Portia's ex. And baby, you know, her husband comes back in, and you know, she says, I just would not feel comfortable if one of the ladies was working with Charles and, you know, didn't ask me. And, you know, Charles was like, well, he wouldn't work with him. So, you know, they wouldn't even go on. And it's like a very high Kiki moment. And it's nice to see Miss Angela around her family, and just to see her and to see her in her home, and to see the love in their marriage, and to see her daughter, and just find out a little bit more about her. It's very, very beautiful. And then, you guys, we get into our next scene, and it is our girl, Kenya, and her and Portia are meeting up for lunch. And baby, when I say the girls are looking good, the bodies are bodying. I mean, the fits are fitting, the hair is hairing. Baby, I'm living, honey, when I tell you. And y'all, we get a moment, we get a flashback to see how Kenya and Portia's relationship has started off and grown throughout the years. And this is why I'm going to say this. This is why I keep saying everybody's trying to give Miss Britt a hard time. But do y'all not see how Kenya and Portia went through this thing where they went back and forth, and people were like, well, it's not the same. Do your research, go look at history, but we're talking about now, present, and beautiful moments. And it's so glad to see the ladies just have this moment and come together. And as we see the ladies sit down, they order their drinks, and of course we get right on to the tea. We get into about the party, you know, about how Portia was responding and feeling, and you know, about the entire situation. And of course, y'all know our girl Kenya, she gonna ask the questions. She gonna say, well, girl, I didn't know. I was trying to see what it was about Dennis and what was going on. And Portia says, no, it's nothing about that. It's about like the shadiness and her trying to film with him on the show, and like it's just like a whole lot. And then, baby, after we get through talking about the party and all that good tea, then we get into about Portia's divorce. And of course, our girl Kenya is asking, like, how did this happen? What led to this? And, you know, our girl Portia shares, you know, about moments and incidents that actually kind of led up to this moment. And she said about her husband not being honest and answering a lot of questions and just having different situations go on. And she said she never expected this, because when she was writing her book, you know, she felt like he was her person and that they had became intertwined and connected. And King was like, well, girl, you know, I have to ask, because I be getting these alerts on my phone. It'll be him and the social media posts and him saying this and him saying that. And of course, you know, Portia says, it's just his way of, letting things out. But she says what really put the straw on the camel's back is that, one night she was at her mom's house and she seen on camera that he had another woman inside their home. And King was like, oh no, baby, no, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna. And I was like, exactly, we're not doing that over here. But y'all, we have a good Kiki, and it was good to hear, a little bit about more what's going on in Portia's life, and to see her and Kenya, just sit down and have this one-on-one and talk and have conversation. Very beautiful. I love seeing it. And then we get into our next scene, and it is our girl Kels, and we are going with Kels as she's getting prepared to open up a new business and new property, from her Nana's cookbook. And our girl Kels is a boss, and baby, everything about her just give you boss energy, boss vibes, boss glams. And she is meeting with her project manager, and baby, he is, giving her the rundown about the establishment, what has to be done, what is the timeline, when it has to be done, and when it has to be finished, and about what is needed and what she needs to get the paperwork for. And our girl Kel says she's gonna get it done. She's gonna get it finished. She's gonna get whatever she needs, and she's listening to her project manager as he is giving her the rundown. And you can see our girl Kels is handling it like a boss, because she says she is going to do what needs to be done. She has her daughters, but her restaurants and her children and her book is just like her daughters. So, it's just very beautiful to see Kels in her element and to see her working and getting her things done. Y'all, then we go from that scene to our next scene, and it is our girl Britt, and we are in Miss Britt's home. And we see Miss Britt and her husband, and baby, they opening up their bottle of champagne. Baby, they finna get it popping, okay? And they are talking about their future and their plans, and it is good to see our girl Britt in her home with her husband, spending time, being beautiful. And we get a rundown about how Britt met her husband and how their relationship has grown and flourished. And come to find out, they got married during the pandemic, and they are now planning their future of having a little one. Well, Britt wants to have a little one, and she is expressing it to her husband. And I think it is just very beautiful for us to see this moment, and to see that our girl just, loves being a wife, and, she loves her man, and to see that she is like ready to just build their future, build their empire, and continue what they built together is very, very, very beautiful. And Britt's husband said, like, why we out here have everything planned? Why we just can't go with the flow? And she was like, because life, you have to have things planned. You can't just go with the flow. And she gets so upset with him. She was like, babe, we can't just throw the babe to the wall and hope that it sticks. She's like, this takes planning and precision. And she says, when she met her husband, he knew she was good at what she do, because she invests money in the market. And baby, I'm loving this, okay? I'm loving just this whole dynamic. And then y'all, our girl Britt mom comes upstairs, and she hears them talking, and of course she's trying to see, what is going on, what is the tea in the biz. And Britt shares with her mom, Mom, you were just talking about expanding our family and how that's going to be and what that's going to look like. And y'all, to even see Britt have this moment with her mom and just their relationship, and to hear about their future plans, I mean, it's just amazing. And I love to see and I love to hear. And y'all, as we get ready to go into our next scene. So yes, y'all. As we get into our next scene, it is our girl Shamea, and y'all, our girl Shamea is going to see her surrogate, and you know, y'all, this is going to be a very emotional scene because our girl Shamea is, like I said, she's going to see her surrogate that gave birth to her daughter. That's her youngest daughter, and you know, we come to find out that Shamea was actually introduced to this lady by the way of a former Atlanta housewife, and you know, she met her through another lady by the name of Dr. Jackie, and Dr. Jackie introduced her to the lady that gave birth to her daughter. And the lady actually runs an organization and program for moms that are looking to have kids and are looking for surrogates. And you know, we come to find out that Shamea's surrogate found out when she was 32 weeks that, you know, she was diagnosed with an aggressive form of breast cancer. And Shamea asks her, you know, was it due to her being pregnant? Was it onset by the hormones? And the lady honestly shares with Shamea that no, it came out of nowhere. It had nothing to do with the pregnancy. And she said a lot of people thought that's what it was and had that concern. She said, but that's not what it was. And she's like, she's thankful that she's still alive and she's still here. And you know, they have this very, very touching connection moment because Shamea says she feels bad, or you know, felt bad, but like it was her fault that this happened. And you know, the lady told her, no, you know, life happens, things happen. And to just see the connection, the bond, and the closeness that they share, and just to see this moment. And then while Shamea is talking to her, we find out in January of 2024, Shamea found out she was pregnant, but she ended up losing the baby because, you know, she went to the emergency room. She was in pain, and you know, she lost a lot of blood. It was a very serious situation. And y'all, it's just a very emotional topic because, like Miss Shamea says, and I absolutely agree, you know, when a person is coming and telling you that they're in pain, with the most equipment, you should move with it. And you know, just to hear her story and what she had to experience in that moment is life-changing. And I just thank her for sharing her story and just allowing us to hear and meet her surrogate, and just the survival to see how this happens. You guys, as we get into our next scene, it is our girl, Kels and Britt, and of course, y'all, our girls are meeting up, and I'm loving Kels and Britt energy as the newest housewives. Like, you know, you can tell they are actually good girlfriends, and that they really rock with each other. And we actually find out a little bit about how Kels and Britt met and how long they've been friends. And you know, as we are pulling up and sitting down and having, of course, mimosas, okay, ladies. we sit down and our girls get right into the tea. You know, they get to talking about the party, about how crazy everything was, about how everything happened. And then not only that, they get to talking about, you know, since Britt got married during the pandemic, are they going to have a ceremony? What are they going to do? And our girl shares, you know, she wants to do something, you know, nice. She's not sure yet, but she knows she wants to do something nice, and they're gonna do something very, very soon. And you know, I'm loving the talk and the vibe and the energy. And of course, she was like, "Okay, girl, but when we have it, just don't be 4 hours late to my plane, to my reception." And she was like, and we caught the little tea that was passed on. But like I said, you know, we get into about the party and about Drew and Portia, and then about how Britt thought it was gonna be Kels and Portia having a conversation because, you know, they were in the middle of having a conversation in episode 1, but that's not what happened when they got upstairs to the room. And you know, our girl Britt acknowledges that she asks Kels, did she catch the shade that King was kind of throwing her about her ring? And she was like, girl, why she worried about my ring? She need to be worried about her divorce. Now, I know a lot of people gonna be like, see, Britt is starting this, but I'm gonna say this. In the TV space, there's always gonna be your opposite of you, who you are. And I just feel like Britt and Kenya are just having like this moment, this thing, this situation. And I know other things are coming to explode, but anyway, I can kind of see like, okay, how this started in the TV space, because girl, we on TV, I don't know, there could be shade, there could not be shade, because at the end of the day, we don't really know each other like that. So I'm taking it what I see, and if it moved me, it moved me, and it didn't, you know? And like I said, then as the ladies are sitting down on the couch, when we move from that topic, our girl Britt asks our girl Kels a little, you know, about, you know, her divorce and her separation. And we honestly find out a lot about Kels' story and about everything that she had to go through and everything she's still going through in her divorce. And just to find out that, you know, her ex-husband stole money from her, that she was in a domestic violence situation, and that, you know, her life has been threatened, is crazy, because Kels is such a beautiful woman, and you know, you can tell she's a hard worker, she's determined, she's a go-getter, and she's a pusher of just wanting the best and to achieve and have the best things in life. So to hear this story and to hear about this part of her life, it kind of tells you why Kels, and shows you why Kels is so independent, and why I love Kels and Britt's relationship. But y'all, as we get into our next scene, it is our girl Drew, and our girl Drew is at the gym, and she has invited some of the ladies to come work out with her, and we get to meet Drew's trainer. And baby, let's just say we finna work out, okay? We finna get it in. And while our girl Drew is inside, guess who pulls up? It is our girl, Miss Angela, in the all purple, giving body, yaddy, 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 yaddy. Okay? And, you know, we find out about Drew and Miss Angela's relationship. So come to find out, Miss Drew and Miss Angela have known each other for some time now. And baby, you know, she is glad she has a friend and someone she can talk to. And you know, as they come in, Miss Angela asks Drew what's been going on, what's been happening. And of course, you know, she says, I was surprised by everything that happened at the party in the other night. And baby, as the girls sit down and they get into the tea, and Drew says, you know, it's nothing personal, it's just a work relationship, you know, and I'm not understanding why it's a issue that I'm working with her ex. And, you know, Miss Angela says, well, Drew, you know, out of all the producers, out of all the people you could work with in Atlanta, and Drew just says he reached out to her. He was being very professional to her and her team. And, you know, she's not understanding. She says she can't even focus on that right now because then we get into about Drew's divorce and you know how it's affecting her, and not only affecting her but affecting her at home life on a deeper level. So she can't even focus on that drama because she has real drama going on in her life and real life situations. And she even shares with Miss Angela that, you know, that's why I go to the studio so I can release and let out. And baby, you know, Drew gets into tears, but our girl Miss Angela gives her a hug. And right after that, y'all, our girl Shamia pulls up to the gym, and of course our girl looking good, baby. Shamia's like, what's going on, y'all? How y'all doing? Hey, okay. Shamia said, I'm ready to drop it with Drew. Okay, baby. Work out. It's time to get that fitness in, baby. Do you hear me? And you know, the trainer comes out, he stretches out the mat, and baby, the ladies begin their workout session. They begin to move their bodies, and baby, we getting this workout in and on, okay? So like I said, the ladies are working out, and then the trainer, you know, gives the ladies a break. And of course, the ladies sit down, and while they're on their break, they get ready to jump into this conversation. And baby, let's just say things are fin to go where they need to go, because you know, we finna pick up about the party, we finna pick up about what happened, you know, how everything unfolded. And baby, let's just say, you know, the girls was ready, okay? Miss Angela asked Shamia, she was like, so why was you asking Drew, was she effing Portia's baby daddy? And she's like, well, first of all, I didn't say it like that. I didn't say they were effing. I said I had heard that, you know, they were going out on dates around town. And then she's like, well, I'm not even talking to you. I'm really talking to Drew. She's like, but you jumping in. And she's like, well, I'm just saying you were acting like Portia's lapdog. She's like, first of all, I wasn't acting like anybody's anything. She's like, I had my own questions. I was asking my own questions. She's like, Portia can, you know, ask whatever question she had asked. She's like, I was asking Drew questions because I had been hearing about it. And baby, things are getting hot between Miss Angela and Shamia. And baby, it is crazy because then things get so heated. Our girl Shamia says, you know what? I'm finna go enjoy the rest of my day. Y'all can have this. Y'all can enjoy the rest of this. I'm finna leave, okay? And then we see all of the ladies walk out of the gym, and baby, when I say that was the heated, that was the heat. So y'all, now it's getting to our next scene, and which is our closing scene. It is our girl Portia and her daughter, and they are at something like a playpen or an amusement park for kids. And baby, we just get to see our girl Portia out being a mom, having a good time, enjoying herself. And then the next thing you know, we get Portia's baby father on camera. He's meeting up with them, and baby, you know, he is there while they are in the midst of playing. And baby, he done brought presents, and you know, it's just giving, it's a vibe, okay? Portia gives him a hug. Everything is going well, everything is going smooth. And you know, it's good to see Portia and her child's father, you know, together and having this one-on-one. And so, you know, I know the conversation is going to come up about his relationship with Drew and about them working together. And before I know it, that's literally what happens. She sits down and she sits down with her child's father, and they begin to talk and have this discussion. And you know, he's trying to figure out what's going on, what's the issue, and she says, and you know, Portia's giving her part, her rundown, and her spiel of what is going on or what she's getting wind of, and she was like, you know, I'm trying to understand, like, what is this relationship like? What is going on? What's happening here? And like Portia said, she doesn't care about them working together. It's just about like what's what's going on. If y'all gonna make music, make music. And y'all, things get so heated. Portia ends up walking away from him in the discussion. She goes to the bathroom. Our girl is in tears. Production is asking Portia, like, what's going on? What's happening? Why are you, like, what is this? And our girl Portia, she knows, she talks to production, and she just tells them it's just a lot, it's too much. And then 30 minutes later, we see our girl Portia in the car, and she's talking to Dennis. And baby, let's just say things are getting very heated in this car, and you know, you can tell. And Portia is like just driving, and she's telling him like, okay, keep playing, and there's no telling how this is gonna turn out, baby. And I live for it in the moment. But y'all, that is how we close out our scene and the episode 2 of season 16 of Real Housewives of Atlanta. It has been your girl, Pretty Sexy Jara Brand, aka Simon Assassin. Until next time, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all be safe out there. Y'all be careful. And